Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. I hope you've had your vitamin C, the real one, your coffee, and we thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. We want to say hello to a few friends here as we go into Q&A. Q&A Friday. Lots of good questions. I got them all in front of me right here. And Andrea, you're number one on my hit parade. Brahim, right behind. Sandy, Fergus Falls, Minnesota, and Carol from West Virginia. And how are you, Therese? Bon matin, Elaine from St. John's, Newfoundland. Bonnie from Little Britain. And Sandy from Chilliwack, British Columbia. Karen, how is you? Maria from Ottawa, we appreciate you. There she is. Nick from our staff. How are you, Nick? Diane, and Brahim said he's number one. Lily, Patricia, Gail from Blenheim, Denise, Rosa, Morial, Denise from Oakville. And Brahim said Andrea cheated. Doris, Fran, how are you, Fran? Carol, Wasaga Beach. Not swimming there yet, are you? Kristen, Saskatchewan. Nativity saying there's freezing rain this morning. Cheryl, West Virginia. Oh, I love West Virginia. John, in Elgin, Illinois, he's going golfing today. My word. Janice. Rosalinda was in the clouds from Niagara Falls. Milika. Dennis, how are you, my friend? Robin from Connecticut. Thanks for coming on. Yvonne. Karen in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Delinda, North Bay. Madge. How are you, Madge? Francis from Vaughan and Donna. Sharon from Kansas is in the house. We appreciate it. Hi, Claudette. Carol from Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. And Judy. And Fran says she's doing great. Hi, Denise. How are you? Egad, bonjour ce matin. Lorraine, British Columbia. Joan from Blind River. And exercising while she's listening to me. Getting her vitamin E. I love it. John. And Frida. And Linda. Oh, we love Linda's. It's amazing. Marlis from Manitoba. Who else is saying hello there? Catherine, Springdale, Newfoundland. And Lee's from Winnipeg. There's our mayor. The mayor finally showed up. Kevin, how are you, my friend? Cindy. Sedalia from Vancouver. Norma. Elaine again. Okay, guys, let's get going. Sherry, how are you? And I couldn't make out that name, but someone was saying hello, and Rachel, how are you? Janice. Okay, let's get to the questions, guys. And because we got lots of them. Not guaranteed that we're going to finish this morning, but we're going to try. Okay? Hi, Mona. Okay? I know I missed some guys, okay? Doc McEwen, are you on with us this morning? I never see your name. Anne and Meta. How are you? Okay. And Meta says, happy Friday. Vince, how are you, my friend? Okay, let me get to the questions. Here we are. Okay, Stephanie, doing the reset. And she's asking about electrolytes. Okay? Is it all right to add cream of tartar? That's a powder, a potassium powder. Yeah, I got no problem with that. Okay? Look, Here's the thing with the electrolytes, okay? So when you go from being a carboholic and you get on the reset, your body makes a big adjustment. One of them, you're going into ketosis. You're now burning a better fuel. You're burning fat rather than glucose. Your body's switching fuels. There's for some, huge adjustment. Their body is changing fuels, and one of the things that might happen, you might get cramping because you need more electrolytes as the body adjusts, as the kidneys adjust especially. So don't be shy to use electrolytes, okay? Himalayan salt is very, very good because it has 84 trace minerals in it. And, some people actually add some potassium, and you can do that, okay? So if you need, just understand your body's going through an adjustment, and then once it adjusts, look, I like electrolytes all the time. I take electrolytes all the time. I add salt to my water, a little bit. And I find it very, very good, okay? Now remember, magnesium too is an electrolyte. And so I like that. I like magnesium even in a bigger dose, and either citrate or biglycinate. So thanks for the question, because you're not taking you're to add potassium, go for it. Okay? Like you'll notice with potassium, okay, that you never can get anything above 99 milligrams of potassium. Like usually in a supplement, they cut it off because they're scared of potassium. And you need a lot more potassium than you need of sodium. But when you're eating eggs, meat, and cheese, you're getting potassium. You really are. But for some, you might have to add the electrolytes, especially when the body is going through adjustment, okay? Marie is asking a very good question. She has sores at the corners of her mouth, okay? But that is always an indication, okay? Marie, it's always an indication. You know me. I always start with the gut. Leaky gut, leaky everything. Okay? And usually when you you're not absorbing properly. So look at the gut, leaky gut. You could have a fungal infection in the body. Low grade, you don't even know it's there, and don't feed it because it needs sugar to survive. 2, often deficiencies. This is what I've seen, okay? When I've seen that. Often a deficiency because of your stomach acidity is not acidic enough. It's not breaking food down properly. If you don't break protein down properly, protein needs to be broken down into a mulch in stomach. So you don't have enough acidity, usually, again, Marie, in your stomach. You got to work on that because you need acidity there. Your pH, you don't want an alkaline stomach. You don't want your pH of your stomach you want to be as acidic as a lion's stomach so that you can break down protein. And that often is a sign, cracked on the side of the lips is often a sign of poor protein digestion. Either you're not eating enough or you're not breaking it down properly. And even your B vitamins, you're not eating enough, or they're not being broken down properly, including B12. Okay? So again, work on those. Leaky gut, probiotics, don't feed the bears, and deficiency, okay, with what we call poor stomach acidity. The only place in your body that you need to be acidic is in your stomach. And acidity is key for your stomach. And as we age, usually don't have enough. I love digestive enzymes big time because they help the stomach. But it's what you eat too, because pH of the stomach, most people's pH gets out of whack. They lose their acidity and the body tries to make more. Why? It's not because they're acidic. It's because they don't have enough acidity. They're not eating the right foods. If you eat carbs and live on carbs, even fruits and vegetables, which are, mostly carbohydrates. They're not all carbs, but they're good. But you can't live on that, because if you live on that, you live on salad or whatever, your pH is coming up. You don't want that. You want to have a very acidic pH. It's good not only for digestion, it's good for your immune system, because bugs, bacteria, viruses, they get killed in the stomach if the acidity is like we're more acidic than a lion. It's always the argument that I made for years and years and years that people would say, well, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian. And I say, well, good for you, but you're wrong. Your stomach wasn't made for that. You don't have 4 stomachs. A cow has 4 stomachs. You're not a rabbit. A rabbit has cellulase. You don't even have that enzyme. I'm not saying don't eat fruits and vegetables. Please, don't get me wrong with that. During the reset, no. But afterwards, yeah. Enjoy. Just remember your priorities when it comes to food. Priorities have to be the animal kingdom. And that bothers a lot of people. But it's religion, folks. It's not science. Okay? Thank you for the questions, Marie. Ruth, what are my thoughts on sleep apnea and CPAP machines? Well, listen, I just lived long enough. I've been in practice long enough, near 50 years, okay? Where I was in practice. I can tell you in the 1970s, sleep apnea, we didn't even know what that was. I'm sure some people had it, but not like today. I wish I would have invested. I'm not a prophet nor the son of one, okay? How do I know that? Because I didn't invest. If I'd have known sleep apnea was going to be so prevalent, I would have invested in the stock of companies that were making CPAP machines. I would have invested in dialysis machines if I was a prophet or the son of one. The world's changed. Sleep apnea, and if you want, go on our podcast. The Doctor Is In podcast, okay, on your smart device. And then you can look all the way through. How many thousand podcasts I've done. But if you look and look for sleep and sleep apnea, I talk about that a lot. One of the things they found that it really affects sleep, and a big cause of sleep apnea, is insulin resistance. It gives you, when your insulin's high, things grow. You know what grows? Your tongue. Fatty tongue. Not because you're talking too much. You're eating too many carbs. It's amazing how many people over the years that did the reset, that had sleep apnea, and they say, Doc, I can't believe it. How much better? It's not in every case. But I'm a why guy, guys. I always ask the question, when we see something like sleep apnea, I was in school, I never even learned about it. I didn't even know it existed. It's like autism. I didn't learn autism when I was in school in the 70s. Never heard of it. I mean it. You know, when Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, well, yes, there is. Okay? Yes, there is. We never seen a world in which we live now, where people are consuming 200 pounds, like a dump truck load of sugar a year. And the stats are crazy. I mean, North America, Canada, and the United States, we lead the world in chronic disease. And they don't even look at our diet. So when it comes to sleep apnea, it's a big factor. Insulin resistance. Insulin is a growth hormone. It makes things grow, including your tongue. Okay? Your tongue. Listen, that's science, guys. Okay. But I'm always a why guy. Why has the world changed? Why? If we didn't have sleep apnea before and now tens of millions of people are on machines, and I'm not telling people not to use their machine, of course not. But I'm just telling you, let's look at the root problem. Why? Okay? Thanks for the question, and that was Ruth. Donna. She is getting rid of like chronic fatigue syndrome. And, you know, I talk about that all the time. It was my very first book. I did my thesis, guys, for my PhD on chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay? I did my thesis on it. And I published it. We went to be a huge, big seller. Chronic fatigue syndrome, the modern woman's curse. Okay? It was published. Okay? And that book took off because chronic fatigue at the time was like it was unbelievable. It was like a new phenomenon. And it was mostly women. And nobody could figure out. And a lot of doctors just said, oh, it's just depression and it's in between your ears, dear. You know how many millions of times, well, not millions, you know how many times I heard that? It's in between your ears. I had so many patients come to my clinic. They would start crying when I told them it wasn't in between their ears. They had a real condition. And it started with adrenal gland exhaustion. Adrenals? Dr. Martin, what are adrenals? Well, they're little wee glands, chestnut-shaped, on top of your kidneys, and they release a hormone called cortisol. And the modern women are superheroes, right? Women are superheroes. Men, we're dense, okay? Women, someone gets sick in the family. True or false? Who worries more? Mom. True or false? Mom. Who worries more? Who, they, like my mother had 11 kids. My dad worked his butt off. But my mom, superhero. Women, we live in a world. They're expected to do the same things as men and then add some. And I wrote about that. It became a huge bestseller. I traveled around the world to talk about it. And women, oh man, finally someone giving us some answers. And I talked about changing the diet. I talked about leaky gut even back then because it was so common. There was fungus. How did it get in the body? A lot of times they were exposed to toxins, especially mold. I was one of the first people to talk about mold toxicity and chronic fatigue syndrome. Big hit. Finally, some answers. And I talked about fibromyalgia when people didn't even know what it was, but they were getting diagnosed and they didn't know what to do. And rheumatologists would say, well, you got fibro. Okay, what do I do about it? Well, I don't know. Here's some painkillers. Well, fibro is just part of CFS. It's a two-headed coin. It's a symptom of chronic fatigue syndrome. And now they call CFS ME, and encephalitis, and the brain swell. Yeah, for sure it's swell, but why? And at first, they talked about a virus. They talked about somebody's asking here about the Epstein virus. I said, nada. It's not the Epstein-Barr virus because only 50% of people that had diagnosed with CFS had the Epstein-Barr virus. So it couldn't have been the cause. It might have been a factor, but it was never the cause. No, it was adrenal gland exhaustion. Stress, and stress comes in different forms. It can come from, family dynamics, trauma, finances, living on planet Earth, where cortisol is your friend till it becomes your enemy. You need cortisol, but you don't want it to be secreted 24/7. And one of the biggest factors in chronic fatigue was sleep. Talk about sleep apnea. But it wasn't sleep apnea. It was just exhausted, but they weren't getting into a REM sleep. So they were never recuperating even though they were exhausted. That was one of the major symptoms of CFS. So I talked about it, I studied it, I wrote about it, I treated it, and in my practice, okay, and this is just the evolution of the Martin Clinic. Chronic fatigue, I mean, people came, and I'm not exaggerating here, from all over the world to see me in my clinic because of chronic fatigue. They'd hear about me, the testing that I was doing, the results that I was getting, and they wanted to see people that were desperate. And then I went from CFS to metabolic syndrome. Okay? And that 93% of the population have that. And then, so I wrote a book in 2011. My son and I wrote a book for our 100th anniversary of the Martin Clinic. And it was serial killers, 2 hormones that want you dead. Cortisol and insulin. Okay? That's me. That's my clinic. Okay? Because it was, and fatigue can be a big factor in cortisol. We know that. And brain fog, cognitive issues, and insulin. 2 hormones that want you dead. You got to get those 2 under control. Okay? So, did I answer your question? I went on a big diatribe. How many drops to take of oil of oregano? Yeah, to get rid of, look, if you have fungus, don't feed it. 1, don't feed it. Cut out the sugar. Cut out the breads. Cut out the noodles. Cut it out. Don't feed the bears. 1. 2, probiotics. Huge, big time. Because you need to replenish, regenerate, renew that friendly bacteria. The more friendly guys you have, the more you win. Okay? Against yeast. You don't feed it. You go after it with probiotics. Oil of oregano is natural antibiotic. It's God's gift to man. Oil of oregano. Antifungal. Antiparasitical. Antibiotic. Natural. Antiviral. And you can take it every day. Look, if you are suspicious of I take oil of oregano every day, 7 days a week, all the time. Okay? It's good for you. And it don't wipe out your friendly bacteria. Don't listen when they tell you, because they think it's an antibiotic. So antibiotics, yeah, they kill your bad guys, but they kill your good guys too. You always hear that, right? And it's true. Antibiotics, but not oil of oregano. It's a natural. Okay? It's a natural antibiotic. It feeds your good guys, doesn't kill them. It knows the difference. Okay? Yeah, 3 or 4 drops a day. I love it. It's good for you. Okay? We put it in our digestive enzyme for SIBO because it's really SIFO. Small intestinal fungal overgrowth. You know how many millions of people have SIFO? They have yeast coming out the wazoo in their body, but they don't know it because nobody talks about it. What's hitting on the hit parade these days is parasites. And I've been talking about parasites since the cows came home. But I'll tell you what's worse is yeast. It's fungal. The Bible has something to say about a little yeast, right? Infects the whole loaf. Okay? And yeast is all right because everybody has yeast in their body, but you just don't want it to take over your body. And I believe when you look at neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and MS, and even most cancers, are fungal based. And fungus is a carrier. Yeast carries. It carries heavy metal like mercury, lead, cadmium, brings it across your blood-brain barrier. It brings it across the northern border. It gets in through the southern border and it gets transported across the blood-brain barrier, your northern border. I love that I got that illustration of the borders. People understand that. You have 2 borders. One in your gut and one in your brain. And they're connected. Okay, thank you very much. And that was Donna. And I tell you folks, we ain't not going to get to all the questions today. Nope. But let's keep going because we don't mind doing Q&A on Mondays, do we? No, we don't. Okay, Anne is asking a very good question. I had my progesterone blood work done and I don't know how to compare it to my estrogen. Look, guys, okay? You got to understand where I'm coming from. You know I love numbers. I really do. Okay? I love numbers. So if you show me blood work, I've been looking at blood work for 50 years plus. Okay? And in my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, I tell you what blood tests to get. What you won't find there, okay, is getting your estrogen and progesterone tested. I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm going to tell you why I didn't put it in there. If you want to get it tested, get it tested. But doctors oftentimes, including naturopaths, okay, God love them, they get hooked on labs. They get hijacked by the labs. Don't get hijacked. I try, when I get a chance to teach practitioners, I teach them. I teach them blood work, how to interpret it. what to look for. But when it comes to your estrogen and progesterone, what's more important than the blood work, because the blood work is oftentimes misleading, is your symptoms. Okay? Because I got another question. And, okay, let me bring Andrea into this. I like this because, Andrea, again, you are helping thousands of other people that will listen to this podcast by asking this question. Dr. Martin, I've had extensive work on my thyroid. Okay? I've had extensive work on my thyroid. And then she shows me the numbers. My numbers are getting more sluggish. Okay, Andrea, but listen, Andrea Linda, okay? I need to know your symptoms. In my office, did I test the thyroid? Yep. But, and this is a big but, symptoms trump the blood work. Doctors, I've seen it happen, guys. I've been around long enough, okay? The old-fashioned doctor, they didn't even have TSH. TSH was invented, that test was invented in the 1970s. Do I like it? Yeah, I look at it. It's part of the information that I want. But no. My dad used to tell me, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. And he was talking about the thyroid. It's a puppet. It's got a lot of strings attached. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, I need to know your symptoms, Andrea. Is your thyroid really becoming sluggish? What are your symptoms? What is your hair like? What is your metabolism like? What is your skin like? I mean, there's a lot of things that thyroid is affected by, including estrogen and progesterone, including your liver, including your insulin. All has a big effect. And remember, TSH, it comes from the hypothalamus off to the pituitary gland. It's not thyroid. It's up here. But, okay, so that's what I need to know. Because what are your symptoms? That's what I need to know. And that's the same thing with estrogen and progesterone. You can get blood work, and you might as well be talking to someone that's speaking Greek to you. You can't understand it. Because the doctors rely on that. Oh, it's normal. Yeah, but I don't feel good. Oh, well, that's not normal, right? And millions of people have fallen through the cracks because of that. Okay, so that was, hold on a minute. And I'm not going to tell you what the blood work is, because estrogen and progesterone need to be balanced. And so people are going to, and I know here's another question, okay? Deb, thank you for answering my question on breast cancer, okay? You say to dim out estrogen. Yes, I do. Well, and everybody knows, guys. Everybody knows. Estrogen is important. You're a woman. Of course it's important. You think I don't know that? Well, Dr. Martin, what about my bones? Don't I need estrogen? What about my sex hormones? Don't they need estrogen? Yeah, they do. They do. But, and again, here comes the big but. But it don't depend on just estrogen. It depends on progesterone. And you and I live in a different world today. Even since I was a little boy, different world. Almost every chemical mimics estrogen. Your body thinks it's estrogen. Fragrances, cleaning products, herbicides, pesticides. They're everywhere. They're in the food. Oh, Dr. Martin, I eat organic. Well, good for you. I like it. But if you think, I always tell people this, if your address ends with planet Earth, you live on this planet, you're exposed to xenoestrogens. Me, you, and everyone around you. That's not being negative. It's just being realistic. You, we, you, me, we live in a planet Earth toxic soup. Air, water, soil. It's the way it is, guys. Okay? It's the way it is. So, okay, take that information and say, okay, I'm going to make myself a fighting machine. I am going to build my immune system. I am going to be a detox machine. And for ladies, again, the balance between estrogen and progesterone, I always aimed at dimming out estrogen. The dim. It's in our menopausal formula. Why do I put it in there? In the menopausal formula, I have ingredients in there that I can show by testing. It elevates progesterone and it dims out the xenoestrogens. You need estrogen, but you don't need the xenoestrogens. It blocks those out. That's what DIM does. That's why I like flax seeds. That's why I love the product DIM. Broccoli. You actually, when you eat broccoli, you get some DIM. The problem is, you're going to eat a bushel of it. That's why you put it in a capsule. Look, if I thought food could do it alone, I'd say just, you know me and food. I'm just telling you. I proved it to people because I used to show estrogen on the body. I had a scan to show estrogen, and it looked like leper spots on the body. And women, holy moly, they had no idea. It was all around their breast tissue, estrogen coming out the wazoo. I said, you better dim that out because estrogen is a growth hormone and it causes cancer. It makes cancer grow, grow, grow. And I could prove it to them that we could lower it. And when medicine, even with breast cancer, they put you on tamoxifen, it's to lower the estrogen. The problem with that medication, it comes with a boatload of side effects. So dim it out. That's why I like flaxseed. Flax seeds are different than any other seed because they have lignans 100 times more than any other seed. And lignans block the xenoestrogens. So people misunderstand oftentimes what I'm trying to say because I've had naturopaths, I've had doctors, I've had gynecologists and whatever. Dr. Martin, you're crazier than 3 hoot owls when you talk about blocking estrogen. They didn't understand what I was saying. Okay? And I don't like, and you can't convince me, to like giving estrogen. I don't like it. I love progesterone. I do, because that's what's needed. Okay? And I know that's thinking outside the box. I know that. Okay? So I need symptoms. Long story to tell you that. My word, I get off on... Holy moly. Okay. That was Deb. Okay, let's just do one more here. And what treatment do people use to deblock the ears? Well, look, mucus is everywhere. Why would you have mucus? Think about it, okay? Everybody has mucus, but some people, they have mucus coming out the wazoo, right? Lungs just create so much. Your body's trying, mucus helps your body to eliminate. And my experience with sinuses, because the ears are connected, when you have an overgrowth of yeast, fungus, here we go again, your body produces a lot of mucus. And you're coughing, and you're sneezing, and your ears are blocked, and your sinuses, and often postnasal drip. Well, start with the gut. Fungal. Don't feed it. Kill it. Okay? That's often, okay. Like if this is blocked because you took an airplane ride, the pressure there, no fun, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a chronic issue, okay? Thanks for the question, Penny, and we appreciate you more than you know. Okay, guys, to be continued, okay? Thanks for sending in the questions. I get off on my rants. Guys, if you don't like rants, you came to the wrong place. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm a ranter. Okay. We love you guys. I know I say that, but I mean it. What would we do without our audience? What would we do? And you guys are so faithful to this program. Much appreciated. Okay? Much appreciated. Talk to you soon.